All right, listen up, rookies. Welcome to this explainer. Look, I'm thrilled you're here, but let's get one thing totally straight right out of the gate. You have just stepped into the gourmet age. It's an era where the world's absolute most exquisite culinary ingredients are also, well, its most terrifying apex predators. I'm going to be your mentor today, and frankly, my job is to make sure you actually survive long enough to taste the world's finest delicacies. Because out there in the wild, the line between being the hunter and becoming the appetizer is incredibly thin. We're going to break down the brutal realities of this world, step by step.
Okay, let's dive into this. Eat or be eaten. Seriously, that is the only law that truly matters out in the field. Surviving as an ingredient hunter isn't just about having a big appetite, you know? It requires absolute mastery of biological, ecological, and tactical rules. You've got to understand the beast you're tracking, the environment you're walking into, and, maybe most importantly, the limits of your own human body. We're going to cover the whole shebang today, from threat assessment all the way to cellular evolution. So pay close attention, because what you learn here is literally going to save your life when you're staring down a monster that's looking at you like a walking snack.
Okay, Section 1, the gourmet capture levels. We really need to talk about the hierarchy of the wild and exactly how we measure the beasts that roam it.
So, the International Gourmet Organization, the IGO, established something called a capture level. Now, this isn't just some random number pulled out of a hat. It's a rigorously standardized rating system. It correlates directly to the sheer danger and the operational difficulty of capturing a specific creature. To progress from a low-ranking hunter to the true elite, you have to continuously prove you can solo increasingly higher capture levels. And let me be clear, misunderstanding a creature's capture level is a rookie's absolute quickest path to an early grave. I mean, if you waltz into a level 10 habitat thinking you're dealing with level 2 threats, your funeral won't even require a casket, because there simply won't be anything left to bury.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what I mean. Let's walk through this progression curve. Consider a level 1 creature, like a river shark. Even at level 1, it requires at least 10 fully armed professional hunters just to safely take it down. Now jump up to a level 5 to 8, something like the Galligator. This thing has bulletproof, literal kank-like scales and is tough enough to slaughter a massive swamp snake without breaking a sweat. Then, look at the level 21 demon snake. We're talking about a formidable cavern apex predator that can regenerate severed limbs in seconds and spray lethal venom. The jump in sheer destructive power between these levels is absolutely insane, and your preparation has to scale right along with it.
That brings us perfectly to Section 2, field gear and survival tactics, because brute strength alone is for sure going to get you killed.
Your day-to-day survival out here, it is 100% dictated by your prep. You need highly specialized gear tailored to whatever ecosystem you're invading. It can be as simple as portable salt, or even knowing how to squeeze salt water from a native plant leaf just to repel blood-sucking giant leeches in the southern wasteland. Or take electric stun guns. They are totally vital for non-lethal takedowns on creatures like level 9 King Kongs, where you just want to harvest their rainbow fruit without slaughtering the entire troop. And obviously, you're going to need heavy thermal suits to even take a single step into the blizzards of ice hell, plus high-grade toxin antidotes if you're navigating deep cavern systems. It's all about outsmarting the environment.
Which brings us to an absolutely crucial core tenet of our entire profession. Only kill creatures that can be eaten. That right there is the IGO hunter principle. See, as elite hunters, our goal isn't mindless slaughter, it's sustainable gourmet preservation. Fighting dangerous creatures requires immense discipline to make sure we're minimizing environmental damage. If you don't actually intend to eat the meat, use your stun gun or you use your aura to intimidate the beast into fleeing. We preserve the ecosystem so these amazing ingredients can continue to thrive.
But, you know, not everyone out there respects the ecosystem. So let's look at Section 3, IGO versus Gourmet Corp. This is the geopolitical war playing out over the world's rarest food resources.
So, the crucial point is this ideological clash that's completely dictating global culinary development right now. On one side, we have the IGO. They're heavily focused on sustainable ecosystem preservation, the biological revival of extinct species, and keeping environmental damage to a bare minimum. On the exact opposite side, you have the Bishokai, better known as the Gourmet Corp. Their philosophy is entirely different. Ecosystem destruction, hoarding global resources just to control the world's population, and absolute brute force dominance. They don't care one bit about the balance of nature, they only care about monopoly and power.
And to actually execute that brutal philosophy, the Gourmet Corp relies on these terrors, GT robots. We're talking a highly advanced, incredibly durable, remote-controlled robotic units. Enemies like the Bishokukai subchefs Starjin and Jado use these terrifying machines to completely bypass natural human physical limits. They pilot them remotely to infiltrate ultra-dangerous habitats and just violently seize resources. They have zero qualms about mercilessly slaughtering magnificent creatures, like the mother regal mammoth, just to rip out the precious jewel meat from inside her body. It is a ruthless, industrialized approach to hunting.
To fight back against that kind of absolute mechanical terror, top-tier hunters rely on something way more profound. Section 4. Gourmet Cells and Evolution.
This right here is the biological secret weapon of the elite. Way back in the ancient era, the legendary culinary saint, Akasha, discovered a deep-sea jellyfish with miraculous regenerative and evolutionary properties. And that discovery led to the extraction of the very first gourmet cells. Following that, the IGO pioneered a process to successfully implant these cells directly into human bodies. So elite hunters, like the 4 heavenly kings, actually have these cells integrated right into their DNA. It fundamentally alters their biology and pushes human limits straight into the stratosphere.
Let's move to and see how this actually builds a superhuman hunter, step by step. So, step 1. The hunter consumes a phenomenally rare, super high-quality ingredient. Think of something like the legendary glowing jewel meat from a regal mammoth. Step 2. That massive influx of supreme nutrition activates the gourmet cells, causing them to violently multiply. Step 3. This triggers rapid, almost miraculous cellular regeneration, which can heal grievous wounds in a matter of seconds. And finally, step 4. It results in a permanent, exponential increase in physical strength and combat ability. So yeah, you literally eat your way to evolution.
But hey, there is a pretty dark side to having these cells, and it comes down to emergency survival. See, gourmet cells burn a massive, and I mean massive amount of energy, so hunters have to consume thousands of calories daily. If a hunter is pushed to the absolute brink, fasting and totally exhausted, kind of like the legendary hunter Toriko was when fighting Starjin's GT robot inside the mammoth, the body takes drastic measures. A hunter will actually begin to temporarily self-digest their own gourmet cells. It gives them this massive, desperate burst of regenerative energy just to keep swinging, but it is literally eating you alive from the inside out until you can find high-quality meat to replenish them.
Which brings us directly to the offensive capabilities these cells actually give you. Section 5. The knife and fork.
So, gourmet cells literally allow hunters to turn their very own bodies into specialized culinary weapons. We're talking hand-to-hand maneuvers that mimic actual kitchen utensils. The knife involves hardening your arm and striking with such crazy velocity that it slices clean through monster armor. Then you've got the fork, which uses rigid, piercing hand techniques to puncture incredibly thick, tank-like scales. And as a hunter's cells evolve further, like say after eating that jewel meat, they unlock flying techniques. These are ranged, compressed energy blasts fired directly from the hands, and they hit hard enough to completely dismember level 21 beasts from a distance. Pretty wild, right?
But as absolutely incredible as gourmet cells are, do not forget Section 6, Surviving the Danger Zones. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is it reminds us that the environment itself, it's often way deadlier than the monsters that actually live there. You are going to be sent into extreme danger zones. I mean, you might have to navigate the botanical hell, literally dodging gigantic meat-eating vines and rapid-growth carnivorous plants just to harvest a single kernel of BB corn. Or you might get deployed to the ice hell, enduring sub-zero, bone-shattering blizzards to locate the legendary century soup melting off an ancient glacier. Adapting to these absolutely brutal zones requires peak physical endurance, completely unyielding mental fortitude, and a deep, deep respect for nature's sheer hostility. So, we come back to the ultimate question. The big one. Do you have the stomach to adapt and evolve, or are you just going to be another item on the menu? We've covered the capture levels, the vital gear you need, the ongoing war against the Gourmet Corp, and the unbelievable biology behind gourmet cells. Look, the gourmet age is beautiful, it is delicious, and it is utterly, ruthlessly unforgiving. Study these tactics, remember your training, always respect the ingredients, and maybe, just maybe, you'll carve out your very own legendary menu. Stay sharp out there, rookies.